Jack Church is serious about sports. Each weeknight at 6 and 10, Jack brings you local sports and sports from around the globe. Jack was the only West Tennessee sportscaster to bring you a look at the Tennessee Volunteer Spring Practice, the only Tennessee sportscaster to bring you player interviews with the St. Louis Cardinals and world champion Phillies. And you got to see same-day coverage of boys and girls state high school basketball tournaments. So if you're serious about sports, turn to Jack Church weeknights at 6 and 10 on News Center 7.
Sure are, Joe, and the eyes of the West Tennessee sports world are focused on the Bluff City this week as the Professional Golfers Tour makes its annual stop there. Rodeo Country Club just outside Memphis is again the host for the Danny Thomas Memphis Golf Classic, and fortunately good weather has blessed the tournament, which is filled with a good group of professionals as well as celebrities, which is obviously pleased the man the tournament is named for.
This has got to be the record. Of course, we have Bob Hope and Phil Donahue and my daughter Marlo and Coach Holtz, Lou Holtz from Arkansas, and Terry Bradshaw. So the folks are out here and want to look at them too, and I'm just happy about that.
Of course, being a part of the Thomas family can't hurt your chances of playing in the Pro-Am tournament, as was evident from one couple I ran into. You're down here for the Danny Thomas Classic. I guess being married to Marlo didn't have anything to do with it, did it?
No, not at all. Well, I certainly, the reputation and the importance of this tournament certainly preceded our marriage. But I'm very proud to be here as a member of the family. In fact, I just want to make sure I don't go unnoticed. If you'll forgive me, I'm going to turn around here for a second.
Listen, you know, usually you're the guy doing the interviews and all. That's where most people see you. We don't see you on a golf course much. What kind of golfer are you?
Well, I kill snakes, and it helps if the Red Cross follows me, and I usually have a helicopter overhead, make sure I don't get lost in the woods. I play 2 or 3 times a year. I enjoy the game. I'm not any good, and so in a sense that's frustrating, but it's not as bad as being good and then shooting 86, because I've been there. I've seen those fellas throw their clubs in the creek, so I'm not quite to that point yet.
Marlo, what is your role behind his golf game?
Behind his golf game, I just pray that he doesn't hit anybody. But he only plays golf. He hasn't played all year, and he's playing today, for St. Jude Hospital, so we're going to have to forgive him if he doesn't get a terrific score.
Do you feel like you're going to challenge for the championship here?
No, I don't think so. I just hope that
embarrass the family.
And along with my wife, I might have sold an extra couple of tickets, because we feel real proud of the beneficiary of this event, St. Jude's Hospital.
Now, coming up, you'll also later this week meet defending champion Lee Trevino, Arkansas Razorback football coach Lou Holtz, and Jim Thorpe, who at one point led the U.S. Open. So if you're out to get a glimpse of the stars and see some good golf, you might do well to make a trip to Memphis over the next 4 days. Rain put a damper on today's action at the Wimbledon Tennis Classic in England. Here you're going to be seeing some of the John McEnroe-Raul Ramirez match, which was later stopped by rain, with McEnroe leading 6-3, 3-2. Now they'll resume that match tomorrow. In addition, Jimmy Connor's match with Chris Lewis of New Zealand has been delayed until tomorrow. Meanwhile, in play that was able to be finished, top seeded Bjorn Borg won, while in women's play, Chris Everett Lloyd and Martina Navratilova both advanced with straight set victories. Today was day 13 of the strike by Major League Baseball players, and in New York, talks resumed between player representatives and negotiators for the baseball owners, but unfortunately the talks lasted less than 3 hours. Going in, National League player Rep Bob Boone of the Phillies showed little optimism. After the owners put a new proposal on the negotiating table, Boone called it insignificant and not enough to settle the strike. But the players say they will discuss it and may meet later tonight with owners' reps and federal mediators who are urging continued talks. And despite player charges that the owners are unwilling to settle the free agent compensation issue because they're now collecting strike insurance, owners negotiator Ray Gravy calls the latest offer a good one, but as yet no word on what the offer is. Jackson Village Inn picked up another win today in the Nashville Huffine American Legion Baseball Tournament. Village Inn down Nashville Boys Club 5-1 today, raising their record to 2-1 in the 24-team round-robin tournament. The winning pitcher was Lee Manheim, who fired a one-hitter, raising his record to 3-2. Chris Ware led the hitting attack with an RBI triple while scoring 2 runs. Village Inn will play again tomorrow night at 8:30 against the tournament host, Huffine. Meanwhile, in the Southern League tonight, Chattanooga will be in Memphis again to face the Chicks. Nashville goes to the Savannah Braves. Knoxville will be in Charlotte. Jacksonville goes to Birmingham. And Orlando will be in Savannah. Meanwhile, the San Diego Chicken was in action last night. And as we see in this report, the Big Bird went a little bit wild.
The San Diego Chicken doesn't have much to do with the Major League Baseball players on strike, so he's been working the minors. Last Sunday, he was in Davenport, Iowa for a game between the Quad City Cubs and a collection of former minor and Major League players. When Cubs pitcher Don Schultze hit a home run, the Chicken intercepted him on his way to the plate and wrestled him to the ground. It was all part of the evening's planned entertainment. Then, teammates jumped from the bench to rescue the 6'4" Schultze from the 5'2" Chicken. Then Schultze pulled the Chicken 8 feet across the field. Unfortunately, he also pulled his left arm out of its socket, and he'll be out of action for 3 weeks. Team General Manager Gabby Crowe says these young players just have got to get a better grip on things. This is Bud Fotopoulos reporting.
Jackson State men's basketball coach Jim Hart announced the signing of 2 players from Brighton today. He got co-captains Eddie Foster and Mark Fain, who were both all-district selections this past year at Brighton. Foster is a 6'1" guard, while Fain is a 5'11" guard, and the 2 signees are the Generals' 3rd and 4th for next season. And finally, former heavyweight champion Leon Spinks was ordered bound over for trial today on charges of carrying a concealed weapon in a car. Leon, who recently probably had his career ended with a 3rd-round knockout loss to Larry Holmes, was stopped by police on June 18th while driving a car with an expired license. He was then arrested, and while the officer investigated the car, he found a gun in the glove compartment. Now, if Leon is sentenced, he could get upwards of 3 years in prison. So Big Leon remains in trouble. I don't know. Rodeo is a demanding sport, and at the University of Tennessee at Martin, they have met the demands by producing a top-notch rodeo team in the Ozark region. The team, which is the only one in the state of Tennessee, has been around for 13 years, and during that time has built up quite a bit of tradition. And this year is no exception. During the 1981 season, UT Martin won rodeos in 5 different states, and for their efforts, 7 members of the team have left for Bozeman, Montana for the National Rodeo Finals, which begin June 15th and run through the 21st. Jay Church, a senior rodeoer, expressed excitement over going to the Nationals.
Yes, sir, it sure is. We get to see a different part of the country out there and meet new people, and it's just going down the road.
What do you think's been behind this team this year? What's made it so good?
Mainly the talent we've gotten. We haven't that much money to work with, but it seems like our tradition from the past 13 years just keeps drawing new cowboys in, and each year they get tougher as they do all over the nation.
Bulldog now. That's the way it's supposed to be done right there.
Now, for the average fan, you might not think of rodeo people as athletes, but according to team advisor Ernie Roberts, they just may be the best of athletes.
Well, I think so. I've been associated with athletics and competition since I was a kid. I've rodeoed since I was 13, and I played a couple of years of college basketball before I come to Martin. And I just feel like a rodeo cowboy is the best athlete because he's not only got to be his own businessman, he has to be his own doctor sometimes. He has to make his own selections as to what rodeos he's going to compete in, and he knows the elements of danger, and he's got mental attitude to confirm with. And it's just, to me, rodeo cowboys are the best athletes because they have to deal with so much.
Now, it's never been denied that the life of a rodeo cowboy is tough, but according to every team member we talked with, they plan to keep it up and go professional.
This game begins.
The Russians call it Tennessee tomfoolery, while folks in the Tennessee town of Moscow call it the 1981 Moscow Summer Games. The games started in 1980 as a substitute for the Olympics to be held in Moscow, Russia, which former President Carter had the United States boycott. Now, many people around the country may think this is a big joke, but believe me, they take this seriously, as expressed by the town's mayor, J.B. Brunson.
Oh, yes, it's not a joke. We're not trying to upstage anybody. We are trying to do something that has been neglected, and that is to have fun competitively. Now, here's 2 people riding a bicycle, one by the other. One of them may be the president of the bank, the other one may be a truck driver. It don't make a difference. They're having fun.
23 events make up the Tennessee-style Olympics, from a checker tournament to everyone's favorite, a tobacco spitting contest. This year, the competition was especially fierce in that event, but in the end, Corbett Stanley had won it with a total spit of 36 feet.
I've been working for this for years and years. I've been looking forward to it. Had a lot of disappointments in my life, but finally I come in there and practice. Spent 10 hours a day practicing for about 5 years, and finally come up with a winner.
From Moscow, Tennessee, this is Jack Church for ABC News. Jerry Pate literally soaked in victory Sunday at the Danny Thomas Memphis Golf Classic. Pate, who hadn't won a major tournament in almost 3 years, fired a final round 369 for a total of 14 under 274. And when it was finished, he kept a promise he'd made earlier this week and took a swim in the lake next to the 18th green. Later, after getting a change of clothes but still glowing with that winning look, he explained the great dive.
I could just see the ending. I was going to birdie the last hole, win by one, and go jump in the lake. And as it turned out, I didn't need it, but I did it anyway. But why jump in the lake? The reason I jumped in told Curtis Persons I was going to jump in the lake is because it's been 2.5 years since I've won a tournament. And I wanted to get in there and make sure that when I won my next tournament, it was going to really soak in that I can win tournaments and I should win a lot of tournaments. And
finishing second behind Pate was his brother-in-law, Bruce Litsky, and Tom Kite, who both finished at 12 under 276. Later, Litsky said he felt Pate's win was a major stepping stone in his career.
Jerry Pate is only as good as he thinks he is. And he hasn't given himself much credit the last couple of years, and now I think he'll take himself a little more serious, and I think you're going to hear an awful lot out of Jerry Pate for the next 7 or 8 years.
In case you keep up with winnings, Pate took home a check for $54,000, and he became, at age 27, the youngest man to reach the $1 million mark in career earnings. He's now made $1.3 million since turning pro in 1976, but for 1981, we'll all remember the Danny Thomas Classic, not just for Jerry Pate winning it, but the way he celebrated it.